11 prophesies of the last Mashiach. The concept of Mashiach is taught in the Tanakh, and clearly teaches all the following criteria must be fulfilled for any person to be seen as Mashiach. Mashiach will reign as King of Israel and gather all Jews from exile back to Israel. Jews will flood to Israel. Deuteronomy 30 verse 3. Then the Lord your GD will restore your fortunes others' captivity, and take you back in love. He will bring you together again from all the peoples where the Lord your GD has scattered you. Isaiah 11 verses 11 and 12. In that day, my Lord will apply his hand again to redeeming the other part the part outside the Holy Land. Lit. The rest that will remain. Of his people from Assyria, as also from Egypt, Pathros, Nubia, Elam, Shinar, Hamath, and the coastlands. He will hold up a signal to the nations and assemble the banished of Israel, and gather the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Jeremiah 30:3, 32:37. For days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will restore the fortunes of my people Israel and Judah, said the Lord, and I will bring them back to the land that I gave their fathers, and they shall possess it. See, I will gather them from all the lands to which I have banished them in my anger and wrath, and in great rage, and I will bring them back to this place and let them dwell secure. Ezekiel 11:17, 36:24. Yet say, thus said the Lord GD, I will gather you by the exiles, from the peoples and assemble you out of the countries where you have been scattered, and I will give you the land of Israel. I will take you from among the nations and gather you from all the countries, and I will bring you back to your own land. However, Jesus was not king and Jews didn't flock to Israel. 2. The Holy Temple in Jerusalem will be rebuilt. Isaiah 2 verses 2-3, 56:6-7, 60:7, 66:20. In the days to come, the mount of the Lord's house shall stand firm above the mountains and tower above the hills, and all the nations shall gaze on it with joy. And the many peoples shall go and say, Come, let us go up to the mount of the Lord, to the house of the GD of Jacob, that he may instruct us in his ways, and that we may walk in his paths. For instruction shall come for the oracles will be obtainable. From Zion, the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. As for the foreigners who attach themselves to the Lord, to minister to him, and to love the name of the Lord, to be his servants, all who keep the Sabbath and do not profane it, and who hold fast to my covenant, I will bring them to my sacred mount and let them rejoice in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and sacrifices shall be welcome on my altar, for my house shall be called a house of prayer for all peoples. All the flocks of Kedar shall be assembled for you, the rams of Nebaioth shall serve your needs. They shall be welcome offerings on my altar, and I will add glory to my glorious house. Ezekiel 37 verses 26-27, Malachi 3 verse 4, Zechariah 14 verses 20-21. I will make a covenant of friendship with them, it shall be an everlasting covenant with them, I will establish a meaning of Heb uncertain. Them and multiply them, and I will place my sanctuary among them forever. My presence Seblit, dwelling place, shall rest over them. I will be their GD and they shall be my people. Then the offerings of Judah and Jerusalem shall be pleasing to the Lord as in the days of yore and in the years of old. In that day, even the bells on the horses shall be inscribed, Holy to the Lord. The metal pots in the house of the Lord shall be like the basins before the altar. Indeed, every metal pot in Jerusalem and in Judah shall be holy to the Lord of hosts. And all those who sacrifice shall come and take of these to boil their sacrificial meat in. In that day there shall be no more traders to sell ritually pure vessels. In the house of the Lord of hosts. The temple was still not yet rebuilt. 3. Worldwide peace and an end to all wars. Universal disarming of weapons. Micah 4 verses 1-4, Hosea 2:20, Isaiah 2 verses 1-4, 60:18. A4 verses 1-3 CFISA. 2.2 In the days to come, the mount of the Lord's house shall stand firm above the mountains, and it shall tower above the hills. The peoples shall gaze on it with joy, and the many nations shall go and shall say, Come, let us go up to the mount of the Lord, to the house of the GD of Jacob, that he may instruct us in his ways, and that we may walk in his paths. For instruction shall come forth by oracles will be obtainable. From Zion, the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. Thus he will judge among the many peoples, and arbitrate for the multitude of nations, however distant, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares more exactly, the iron points with which wooden plows were tipped, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not take up sword against nation, they shall never again note cf. Judges 3.2. War. But every man shall sit under his grapevine or fig tree, with no one to disturb him, for it was the Lord of hosts who spoke. In that day I will make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, the birds of the air, and the creeping things of the ground. I will also banish break, bow, sword, and war from the land. Thus I will let them lie down in safety. The word that Isaiah son of Amoz prophesied concerning Judah and Jerusalem. In the days to come, the mount of the Lord's house shall stand firm above the mountains, and tower above the hills, and all the nations shall gaze on it with joy, and the many peoples shall go and say, Come, let us go up to the mount of the Lord, to the house of the GD of Jacob, that he may instruct us in his ways, and that we may walk in his paths. For instruction shall come for the oracles will be obtainable. From Zion, the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. Thus he will judge among the nations, and arbitrate for the many peoples, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares more exactly, the iron points with which wooden plows were tipped, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not take up sword against nation, they shall never again note cf. Judges 3.2. War. The cry violence shall no more be heard in your land, nor rack and ruin within your borders. And you shall name your walls victory, and your gates renown. Obviously war exists still, and many wars are fought in the name of Jesus. For Moschiach reigns as king, and all Jews will follow commandments of the Torah. Ezekiel 37 verse 24, Deuteronomy 30 verses 8 to 10, Jeremiah 31 verse 32, Ezekiel 11 verses 19 to 20, 36, 26 to 27. My servant David shall be king over them. There shall be one shepherd for all of them. They shall follow my rules and faithfully obey my laws. You, however, will again heed the Lord and obey all his commandments that I enjoin upon you this day. And the Lord your GD will grant you abounding prosperity in all your undertakings, in the issue of your womb, the offspring of your cattle, and the produce of your soil. For the Lord will again delight in your well-being, as he did in that of your fathers, since you will be heeding the Lord your GD and keeping his commandments and laws that are recorded in this book of the teaching. Once you return to the Lord your GD with all your heart and soul. It will not be like the covenant I made with their fathers, when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, a covenant which they broke, though I espouse it. Meaning of Heb uncertain. Compare 3.14. Them declares the Lord. I will give them one heart and put a new spirit in them. Cheb. I will remove the heart of stone from their bodies and give them a heart of flesh, that they may follow my laws and faithfully observe my rules. Then they shall be my people, and I will be their GD. And I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit into you. I will remove the heart of stone from your body and give you a heart of flesh, and I will put my spirit into you. Thus I will cause you to follow my laws and faithfully to observe my rules. All Jews are not embracing Torah and certainly not following the commandments. 5. Moschiach must be from the tribe of Judah and a direct descendant of King David and King Solomon. Genesis 49 verses 10 and 2 Samuel 7:12-14, 1 Chronicles 22 verses 9 to 10, Numbers 1:1-18. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, so that tribute shall come to him Shiloh, understood as Shiloh tribute to him. Following Midrash. Cf. Isaiah 18.7. Meaning of Heb uncertain. Lit. Until he comes to Shiloh, and the homage of peoples be his. When your days are done and you lie with your fathers, I will raise up your offspring after you, one of your own issue, and I will establish his kingship. He shall build a house for my name, and I will establish his royal throne forever. I will be a father to him, and he shall be a son to me. When he does wrong, I will chastise him d. Only as a human father would dot with the rod of men and the affliction of mortals. D. But you will have a son who will be a man at rest, for I will give him rest from all his enemies on all sides. Salomonaheb. Shalomo will be his name, and I shall confer peaceabheb. Shalom, and quiet on Israel in his time. He will build a house for my name. He shall be a son to me, and I to him a father, and I will establish his throne of kingship over Israel forever. On the first day of the second month, in the second year following the exodus from the land of Egypt, the Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tent of meeting, saying, Take a census of the whole Israelite community by the clans of Ai.e. its tribes. Its ancestral houses, a listing the names every male head by head. You and Aaron shall record them by their groups, from the age of 20 years up, all those in Israel who are able to bear arms. Associated with you shall be a man from each tribe, each one the head of his ancestral house. These are the names of the men who shall assist you. From Reuben, Elizur son of Shadur. From Simeon, Shalumiel son of Zurishaddai. From Judah, Nahshon son of Amminadab. From Issachar, Nethanel son of Zuar. From Zebulun, Eliab son of Helon. From the sons of Joseph. From Ephraim, Elishama son of Ammihud. From Manasseh, Gamaliel son of Pedasur. From Benjamin, Abidan son of Gideoni. From Dan, Ahiezer son of Ammishaddai. From Asher, Pagiel son of Ochran. From Gad, Eliasaph son of Duel. From Naphtali, Ahira son of Anan. Those are the elected of the assembly, the chieftains of their ancestral tribes. They are the heads of the contingents of Israel. Asterisk. So Moses and Aaron took those men, who were designated by name, and on the first day of the second month they convoked the whole community, who were registered by the clans of their ancestral houses, the names of those aged 20 years and over being listed head by head. Genealogy is only passed from father to son in Tanakh. The Christian Bible says, he didn't have a father from the tribe of Judah. Ezekiel 46:1-4. Thus said the Lord GD, the gate of the inner court which faces east shall be closed on the 6 working days. It shall be opened on the Sabbath day, and it shall be opened on the day of the new moon. The prince shall enter by way of the vestibule outside the gate, and shall attend at the gatepost while the priests sacrifice his burnt offering and his offering of well-being. He shall then bow low at the threshold of the gate and depart. The gate, however, shall not be closed until evening. The common peoplei.e. Those other than the priests, the Levites, and the prince, lit. The people of the land, shall worship before the Lord on Sabbaths and new moons at the entrance of the same gate. The true Mashiach to come will offer Hashem burnt sacrifices of 6 lambs on the Sabbath and new moons in the third temple. Where does that leave your Jesus? Hashem does not accept human sacrifices. It is an abomination to him. Deuteronomy 12:30-31. Beware of being lured into their ways after they have been wiped out before you. Do not inquire about their gods, saying, how did those nations worship their gods? I too will follow those practices. You shall not act thus toward the Lord your GD, for they perform for their gods every abhorrent act that the Lord detests. They even offer up their sons and daughters in fire to their gods. 6. Mashiach will rule Israel, and the whole world will put down all other religions, and the world will recognize and serve the one true Lord of Israel. Zechariah 3:9, 8:23, 14:9-16. Isaiah 45:23, 66:23, Jeremiah 31:33, Ezekiel 38:23, Psalms 86:9, Zephaniah 3:9. For mark well this stone which I place before Joshua, a single stone with 7 eyes. G meaning of Heb uncertain. The stone apparently symbolizes the GD given power of the future Davidic ruler. See below 4.6-7. I will execute its engraving, declares the Lord of hosts, and I will remove that country's guilt in a single day. Obviously this hasn't happened. Thus said the Lord of hosts, In those days, 10 men from nations of every tongue will take hold. They will take hold of every Jew by a corner of his cloak and say, "Let us go with you, for we have heard that GD is with you. And the Lord shall be king over all the earth. In that day there shall be one Lord with one name. Phi.e. The Lord alone shall be worshipped and shall be invoked by his true name. Then the whole country shall become like the Arabah, Gi.e. Shall be depressed like the Jordan Valley. Hi.e. From the northern border of the kingdom of Judah, 1 Kings 15.22, 2 Kings 23.8, to the southern border, Josh 15.32, 19.7. From Geba to Rimmon south of Jerusalem. The latter, however, shall perch high up where it is, and it shall be inhabited from the gate of Benjamin to the site of the old gate, down to the corner gate, and from the tower of Hananel to the king's winepresses. Never again shall destruction be decreed, and Jerusalem shall dwell secure. As for those peoples that warred against Jerusalem, the Lord will smite them with this plague. Their flesh shall rot away while they stand on their feet. Their eyes shall rot away in their sockets, and their tongues shall rot away in their mouths. In that day, a great panic from the Lord shall fall upon them, and everyone shall snatch at the hand of another, and everyone shall raise his hand against everyone else's hand. Judah shall join the fighting in Jerusalem, and the wealth of all the nations round about, vast quantities of gold, silver, and clothing, shall be gathered in. The same plague shall strike the horses, the mules, the camels, and the asses. The plague shall affect all the animals in those camps. All who survive of all those nations that came up against Jerusalem shall make a pilgrimage year by year to bow low to the King Lord of hosts and to observe the Feast of Booths. By myself have I sworn. From my mouth has issued truth, a word that shall not turn back. To me every knee shall bend, every tongue swear loyalty, and new moon after new moon, and Sabbath after Sabbath, all flesh shall come to worship me, said the Lord. But such is the covenant I will make with the house of Israel after these days, declares the Lord. I will put my teaching into their inmost being and inscribe it upon their hearts. Then I will be their GD, and they shall be my people. Thus will I manifest my greatness and my holiness, and make myself known in the sight of many nations. And they shall know that I am the Lord. All the nations you have made will come to bow down before you, O Lord, and they will pay honor to your name. For then I will make the peoples pure of speech, so that they all invoke the Lord by name, and serve him with one accord. G. 7. The last Mashiach will re-establish sacrifices to Hashem. Ezekiel 45:22. On that day, the prince shall provide a bull of sin offering on behalf of himself and of the entire population. Ezekiel 45:23. And during the 7 days of the festival, he shall provide daily, for 7 days, 7 bulls and 7 rams, without blemish, for a burnt offering to the Lord, and 1 goat daily for a sin offering.